the question is, what's Tachanun in Tefilah? In fact, Ram has this. Ram has in the 5th parak in Tefilah, he says there are 8 things that a person has to be careful on when he and to do them when he davens, right? So one of them is hishtachavaya. Okay, when he talks about hishtachavaya, which means to bow. When he talks about hishtachavaya, he says what's hishtachavaya? So he says after you raise your head up after the 5th bowing, which is the Osa Shalom. Okay, he says you sit on the ground and you fall on your face. Umischanin. Now listen to this. Bechol hatachanunim sheyirtzeh. Okay, you give tchina for all the what's tchina or tchina? What's tachanunim? Supplications. All right. So, it sounds so much better, by the way. A few times with the English word's better, but so you give supplications, and what do you say? Anything you want. Any supplications that come to mind. Right. So that's tachanunim. There's one other spot where we mentions tachanunim, which is by in Hilchos Tshuva. By what's it called? By slichos. That's what he calls slichos. He says there's a minhag. The minhag by Bnei Yisrael is that they wake up early in the morning and they engage in divrei tachanunim. I think that's his lashon there. So what is tachanun? And if you look at the Siddur of Amram, Rav Amram going, he says that what's tachanun? V'noflim tzibur al paneim u'mevakshin rachamim v'shol kol echad echad bakashasa. So what was Tachanun? Now you understand he's talking about post Shmona Esrei. In the Gemara, right? There was no formalized Tachanun. What was Tachanun? The tzibur would just fall on their faces, right? And they would be mevakesh rachamim, and every single here's the hard part. B'shol kol echad echad bakashasa, and every person would ask his own bakasha. That's very problematic. Why is that problematic? He did Shmona Esrei already, right? And even in Shmona Esrei, Chazal set up a point where, forget the fact you can thematically put into Rafa'inu or whatever, all those, but they set up a point in Shema Kolenu where a person can give his own bakashas. So what's this? This seems to be superfluous. Not to mention the fact that if you look at, let's say you get into what's Tachanun today. What's Tachanun today? Not Sephardim. Let's do with Ashkenazim first. What's Tachanun today? What do you say about Tachanun? How does it start? You say it every day. Throw something at you. Tachanun. How does Tachanun start? Oh, yeah, so we don't say that part. Where does it really start? Racham v'chanun, right? We say Racham v'chanun chatatzi v'necha, right? Hashem malei rachamim rachim al v'kabel tachanunai. And what do you say right after that? Hashem al be'achva sochicheni. Where's that from? Hashem al be'achva sochicheni. So it's Tillim. It's a parak and Tillim. You don't ever thought about what you're saying? You're saying a parak and Tillim. All right. We start off by saying Racham v'chanun. So why do you say Racham v'chanun? What is that? What's that from? What is that? So that's vidui. All right, so that's where you guys get the whole idea of a full vidui from. In other words, the vidui is the hakdama to tachanunim. Before you engage in supplications, you must be motivated that you're chote. But again, we did that already, didn't we? Slach lana v'nika chatanu, right? Hashivena. So what is this adding? It's a funny thing. And then Tikkun Tefilah says, "Near the midvar shebiyamav lo haya nosach miyuchal tachanan. Ela kol echad hayam mischanim kefi hanos shlo." So every person did whatever they want to do, right? And even through the times of the Torah. Through the time, we're talking about all the way through the Rishonim, I'm talking about till the Torah, it seemed like Tachanun was really subjective. After Shemon Esrei, you sit down and supplicate away. Probably, I'm not sure if that was longer or shorter, but now the Rambam though does seem to have a nusach. All right, the Rambam does mention. He says that their minhag was to be mischane and nefilas apayim b'dvarim u'psukim elu. So the Rambam seemed to have a more formalized text, but it was still a minhag. In other words, this isn't instituted by. It's not even like Pesukei Zimra. This is something that it was completely subjective, and the minhag became that people found like a parak and Tillim. It's homachlokas which parak they would use, but that became the formalized text. If you ever look at what you're actually saying in Tachanun, you say all you're really doing is you're saying very similar themes to what you have in Shemon Esrei itself. You say Chaneni Hashem ki umlo ani Rafa'eni Hashem ki nivhalo atzame. The key change is everything's in the singular. It's for me, not for the Am. So the question is a very simple question. What the heck is Tachanun? Why do we have Tachanun in Tefilah? Why isn't Shemon Esrei sufficient? Yes. Really, what should have started? You should just start saying, God, supplicate, right? But then it seems like there's some sort of matir for supplication, which is vidui. Now the question is, just in a brisker way, what's the machlokas? The machlokas is there a vidui for the specific supplication, or do we only have one format of vidui? If you're going to do vidui for something, you can only rely on that vidui, the vidui or the objective vidui that we always do. So that's why, even though that's in the plural, there is no other type of vidui that exists? Or do we say no, that in the very idea of Tachanun itself, it's its own vidui? Because Racham L'Chanun is like it's a very short vidui. It's not a Shalom Magana, but it could be that would be the machlokas, why they came out that way. Whereas Ashkenazim seem to hold that Racham Chanun is sufficient, meaning because it's a vidui of Tachanunim, or is it that since every time you say vidui, you must use the objective vidui? But what's Tachanun in general? And you see another halacha, which Svi David halacha is you can't have a hefsek between Shemon Esrei and Tachanun, right? It's because Rosh Hashanah's aside. The concept is you leave your Shemon Esrei and then you fall on your face, right? So what is that? And then Svi David had another question, which is. Well, actually, I shouldn't ask that yet. All right, I'll wait for your. That's the point we left off. The last question you asked. All right. So, what's Tachanun? What is Tachanun? Back a long way. Tachanun is actually not. I mean, the Rambam has it. Tachanun is. You wouldn't say Tachanunim on basically happy days. All right. Let's forget Beis Abel for a second. You don't say Tachanun on happy days and Yom Tovim. Why not? Because that's an easy answer, right? But you see one thing. You see that it's not Ma'akev. It's not like Shemon Esrei. You have to always say Shemon Esrei or an Amida. But Tachanun seems to be something that's not necessarily ma'akeh. But what's Tachanun? Just a simple question. Just want to know what it is. There's two main differences. One clearly is the position you're in. And they're extremes. There's one standing before God, and this is you're falling on your face. Right?
But they don't fall on their face.
I know, but the notion of...
They were supposed to.
Right, that's really the idea. Well, the Rambam says, Vishtachavaya. Vishtachavaya means you're prostrating yourself, right?
Don't fall on their face either.
Yeah, but they have some kind of...
Certainly agree that Surah Shemon Esrei is not set up that way.
And also that's why it's after.
Oh, that was his question. But you can't ask that question until you define. That's a good question, right? Not just because Svi David asked it, but it is a good question. But you can't ask it until you have a concept of what each one is. You know what I mean? Like what's, and then once you have that in mind, then you can figure out what's the order. Because as Svi David asked, well, why couldn't Tachanunim precede Shemon Esrei? Forget how Tefilah would be formulated. I'm saying why couldn't the concept? But first, let's get the concept down. So what's Tachanunim? Okay, so there's something about the fact that Shemon Esrei is done in plural.
I mean, like, right? Maybe like that's where your merit comes from.
Ooh, okay. No, it's good. Meaning what?
Your ability to ask for anything is on what merit.
Right. Okay. So really, in reality, right? What right do we have to stand before God? So Chazal come along and they created a method. I'm going to use. I don't know if it's the best use of the term protect, but in a sense, being part of the Am is like the protection. It's what it gives you the schus to be able to stand before God. But really, as an individual, when you stand before God, it's a tough thing for people to understand. When you say Fa'inu Hashem Nerafeh, you're not saying. I'm not saying Ginsburg. Right? I'm saying me as a Jew who's part of Am Yisrael. As a Jew who's part of Am Yisrael, God heal us. Not Ginsburg, right? Because Ginsburg has no right to stand before God. I don't have any right. What right do I have to stand before God? Who am I? I'm Afar V'Efer, right? So you need the cover, so to speak, of the plural to put you in that framework. One second. And that's also based on the fact that there's a pre-existing relationship that exists between us as a nation and God. Because of that relationship, that allows us that ability to stand before Him. Versus, when you say supplication, what is supplication? I described it before, Shtachavaya. That's what the Ram describes as Shtachavaya. The position Shtachavaya tells you what? Or tells... Let's say you prostrate before the king. What does it tell the king?
He's in charge of you.
And no, you're desperate. Who am I? I'm nothing, right? But I have no choice. Like, what am I supposed to do? I need to be able to survive. You're begging. In other words, you're right. You're saying to God, I have no right to stand before you. I'm not standing. I have no right to even be before you. But I'm desperate. What am I supposed to do? If you study the Parak HaTehillim, you see that's what David's saying. David's saying, I'm in a desperate state. I don't know what to do. I'm messed up here. I have nowhere else to turn. Please, God, help me. But he's not coming from the status of I have a right. He's saying I have no other choice. What can I do? That's Tachanunim. Tachanunim is the recognition that I have no choice. I'm stuck. What am I supposed to do? I'm desperate. I'm begging. Please, God, please help me. That's Tachanunim. And you can never stand before God to do that. That Tachanunim means I'm supplicating. I'm basically throwing myself at your mercy. All right? And that's why you have to say before him, Racham L'Chanun, or whatever, Vidoy. Because that is who you are. In other words, the fact you recognize that you're a chote puts you in the right frame of mind to be able to engage in Tachanunim. Because that's honestly who you are before God. You're a chote. You're a sinner. There's really two avenues to Bakasha that exist. One avenue is through the Am, right? And the other one is Tachanunim, where man simply says before God, I'm desperate and I have to beg. So now comes your question, which is? Why not before? What's the order now? Okay, what's the order? See, if you look at how Chazal formulated Shemon Esrei, you'll see that in a lot of halachas they tried very hard to reduce the natural sort of ego satisfaction you're going to get from standing before God. When you stand before God, there's a certain sense of chashivas you're going to think. Like, look at me, I stood before God. It's unavoidable. It's an unavoidable phenomenon, right? In other words, by virtue of you standing before God, it does in some way express importance. Now, the way they set it up is, think about it. You're osa shalom b'mromav, so you take your 3 steps back. So what are you doing? You're removing yourself, you're recognizing that this state is temporal, it's temporary. So you're removing yourself from that state to the regular state, right? At that moment in time, what's supposed to happen is that you should have a certain awareness, like, wow, I can't believe I just had that amazing, ability to stand before God, right? But at the same time, what should hit you is, who was I, right? Yeah. So like this, I'd say that, you see, when a person has a certain self-awareness of what he just went through, and now he had this experience where he stood before God, but he realizes there's no reason from it as an individual he had any right to do such a thing. So what is his reaction to that, or the remedy for any sort of I would say ego gratification a person would get from the Shemona Esrei experience? Right, Tachanun. Tachanun is the remedy. It ensures that there's no lingering deleterious effect from the experience of standing before Kadosh Baruch Hu, because it can really have a certain impact on the person. It's hard to avoid that. I mean, you're standing before God, and you think there's a certain chashivas that I have. Look at me, I'm standing before God. Even though with everything Chazal's done, still at the end of the day, there's still this lingering effect. Tachanun is a remedy for that effect. It's a kiyum in Shemona Esrei. That's what I want to say. Halachically, it's a kiyum in Shemona Esrei. That's why, by the way, you could have days where you don't say it, because Tachanunim is tzaka, it's calling out to God, and the Kedusha of Yom can override this kiyum. See, if it was really ma'akev, how could such a thing exist? If it was really an essential part of Tefilah itself, then there would be no way you couldn't say Tachanun on any given day. But the fact you don't say it on Shabbos and Yom Tov, etc., what's it telling you? Because it's a kiyum in Shemona Esrei. Right? But if it's quote unquote just a kiyum, so then it's okay to say that certain days you don't have to say it. Because ultimately you should have this self-awareness per se. But to ensure, it's almost like an insurance policy that the person understands who he really is, Tachanun. It remedies. It's a reaction to the experience of Shemona Esrei. So I think that's why it has to come afterwards. Yeah.